it on in our lineup today on The Now. Scammers are trying to take advantage of us, wanting to protect our children. How their new con involving free child safety kits works. The father of a police officer killed by a drunk driver is now on a mission to close a legal loophole. How he says convicted drunk drivers and prosecutors are getting around rules. And Amazon doesn't allow CBD sales on its site, but they're still showing up there. What you need to watch for with these products, regardless of where you buy them.
Thank you, Annie. I'm Amanda Starantino, and you're watching The Now Indy. We're used to expecting deals with such terms as doorbusters, early bird specials, and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so it seems possible that an item that costs $200 could be on sale for $75. RTV6's Rafael Sanchez spoke with one man who learned that's not always the case.
Tony Perkins has quite the ride. A Harley Road Glide. It made its first trip to Sturgis, South Dakota this past summer for the annual motorcycle extravaganza.
When you ride, it's like your spirit feels free. You just feel a peace. You know, you don't worry about your bills. You don't worry about anything. You're just enjoying life and enjoying nature.
Before heading out, Tony kept his phone handy, looking up websites selling a GoPro camera.
I was going to buy one on Amazon, and then I seen that one. I thought, wow, this is half price.
He wanted to take one on his trip out west.
I was going to mount it right here on my windshield.
He found a deal online and ordered it. But that bargain turned out to be a bust.
They cleaned out my bank account while I was in Sturgis. Luckily, I had some cash on me, or I'd have been screwed. There's the correction right there.
Luckily, his bank refunded more than $900. And based on his online shopping experience, he plans to live by these 3 words.
Read the reviews.
Reading reviews is great advice. Tony wishes he had read the dozens of complaints before placing his order, which was never delivered. You can find the complete story right now on the IndyChannel.com and the RTV6 app. Just look for this story. And he may not have had any blood relatives, but one Indiana veteran did have family surrounding him to say goodbye today. 89-year-old George R. Green from Elwood was laid to rest with full military honors today. He was awarded several medals during his service, completing active duty in 1953. The Madison County coroner says they were unable to track down any living relatives of Green. So when people around Indiana heard he would not have any family at his funeral, they turned out in droves. One vet talked about why he was there.
It was important for me because Mr. Green raised his right hand and took that oath to protect our country from all enemies. He had no family. Everyone here was his family this morning.
Green served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War and was wounded in combat. We've got information right now in this story on the RTV6 app on how you can make a memorial contribution in his name if you would like. Kyle.
And as we take a look north out of downtown Indianapolis, you can still see we got a lot of snow on the ground. We're going to continue to melt that here over the next couple of days. Our sun set just about 10 minutes ago, so pretty quickly things are going to get a little darker out there across the Hoosier State. We've got a temperature of 35 right now. That south breeze at 10 miles per hour, 31 for you in Kokomo, and in the upper 30s in Bloomington. Feeling pretty good compared to where we started off the day. Many spots in the single digits, but we still have that wind chill to talk about. Feels like 27 in Indy, feels like 23 for you in the Peru area. Satellite and radar, though, very quiet. Once again, we have mostly clear skies, and that means temperatures are going to tumble fairly quickly here, especially as we get just beyond sunset, which is taking place. Those temperatures still in the lower 30s by 7 o'clock, upper 20s, though, at 9, and we'll get back to around 25 degrees as the wind will relax a little bit, so it won't be so much of a wind chill factor as we go into tomorrow morning. Tonight, down to around 20 degrees, so it will be a little warmer start to our day. We'll talk about a warmer finish in a few minutes. Annie.
Both House and Senate leaders are drawing up their next moves after the impeachment vote. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's waiting for the Senate to outline its trial process before naming House impeachment managers. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says he's on the same page with Pelosi, but would not say if there could be a withholding of the articles by the House. The charges will go to the Republican-controlled Senate for a trial, which is expected in January. Former drug users are crediting a certain medication for helping them recover. It's part of what's called a Medication First program. The program gives patients a prescribed medicine on their first day of treatment. After they start feeling better, patients can choose their next steps. However, only 1/3 of treatment centers in the U.S. offer treatment drugs for opioid addiction. That's according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Less than 3% of treatment facilities offer all 3 federally approved medications. They include methadone, buprenorphine, and naltrexone. Early research, though, shows that the Medication First program can change lives. But in order for it to be effective, patients need to be prescribed buprenorphine as soon as possible.
When somebody is ready to give up heroin, it's usually kind of like an impulse decision or something that they've made a decision and they are ready for action at that point. And so waiting for 2 or 3 weeks to get in or a few months is just not a practical matter.
Skeptics of the program say the medication should be combined with counseling, 12-step programs, and other types of support.
There's a pill that you can take to alleviate the high, to alleviate the withdrawal, to maybe alleviate certain symptoms, but it doesn't cure the disease.
Buprenorphine is an opioid, but it doesn't fully turn on the body's opioid receptors that drive addiction, helping stabilize the cravings. The government's Highway Safety Agency is now investigating 4 car makers over a new airbag issue. It says Audi, Honda, Mitsubishi, and Toyota have a potentially deadly type of airbag inflator in their cars, but they haven't recalled them yet. The car makers say they're still trying to figure out if their cars are impacted. Well, still ahead in our lineup, scammers have a new way they're trying to steal your child's identity, how they're using the promise of free child safety kits.
Keller and Keller.
This is the Now Indy on RTV6. You know that look of happiness someone gets when they get a present that really means something to them. Well, today we got the chance to see true joy on the faces of people helped by a special holiday program. Officers with Indy Metro Police's Northwest District teamed up with Walmart to provide groceries for families in central Indiana. One woman talked to us about just exactly how happy this act of kindness has made her.
I just want to run and shout and hug everybody and thank the IMPD Police Department, their families, the family that selected me to be chosen for this opportunity, Walmart, and just God.
This event is all about showing support to families who may need it even more this time of the year. Northwest District officers made their way around Walmart with families, and with teamwork, they covered the grocery charges for the families.
Oftentimes, some of the most successful scams are those that tug at your heartstrings or even scare you. The Better Business Bureau is warning families to be aware of a rise in reports of free child safety kit scams. Now, these are criminals offering to give you a free kit that you would provide police should your child go missing. The solicitations might come over the phone, by email, or on social media, or even someone knocking on your door. What they're after is all your children's personal information.
Scammers know that parents rarely check their children's credit report, and it's not something they look at frequently. So when they're able to steal the identity of a child, they can open up credit cards, open up different credit lines, and steal that identity, and it's not caught as often as it was an adult.
More than 1 million children experienced identity fraud in 2017, according to Javelin Strategy and Research, costing families more than $500 million. Some financial experts go as far as recommending freezing a child's credit right after they're born. As for child safety kits, there are legitimate companies that offer them, but the difference is you hold on to all the child's personal info.
These kits are going to collect information like your child's hair, a picture of the child, their name, their address, their phone number, a lot of personal information of your child. And the purpose behind this is that you're keeping the kit. Should your child go missing, then you would take that kit to your local police department to help in finding of your child.
Some legitimate free child safety kit offers may be in exchange for opting into text messages, calls, or emails to sell you a product or service. Well, more to get to in our lineup. The father of a police officer killed by a drunk driver is now on a mission to close a legal loophole. How he says convicted drunk drivers and prosecutors are getting around rules.
RTV6 is working for you.
Uber is setting setting up a more than $4 million fund for its workers who say they face sexual harassment and retaliation. That starts our Now News feed. The company is paying that money as part of a settlement with the government agency that tracks these issues. The fund is for women who worked at the company as far back as 2014. Half of the U.S. population is in danger of being obese within 10 years. That's the alarming prediction from a new study in the New England Journal of Medicine. Researchers found people with a lower income are more likely to be obese no matter where they live. Meantime, Coca-Cola is facing criticism for how researchers say it's advertising targeting teens and moms. They found ads from 2013 and 2016 promoted sugary drinks as healthy, despite concerns about childhood obesity. Coke says it has a policy of not marketing to kids under 12 and that it is reducing the amount of sugar in its products. Well, about half of U.S. workers are closing out the decade without seeing a bump in pay this past year. The good news is more people did get a raise in 2019, according to Bankrate. About 49% compared to just 38% in 2018, that is. But people not getting raises are those earning less. Another interesting aspect in this research, women were less likely than men to get a raise, but they were also more likely to go out and land a better paying job. All right, GM is recalling more than 800,000 new cars for pretty serious defects. One is a software problem that can disable a car's electronic stability control and anti-lock brake systems, which could cause a crash. Meanwhile, a second issue was discovered with some trucks that could cause an electrical failure or even a fire. 2019 Cadillac CT6 sedans and 2019 and 2020 Silverado and Sierra truck models are impacted by this. Chevy Silverado 1500 and the GMC Sierra 1500. Well, it happens every hour on average. A drunk driver hits and kills someone. Now a new report is taking a look at which states are making the grade and which are failing when it comes to strong drunk driving laws. Maya Rodriguez also shows us how some get around drunk driving laws.
This is a totally preventable crime.
For Richard Liotta,
it's important that I do this.
Blue ribbons in his neighborhood mark what may be the hardest month of the year.
And I have to do this till I can't do it anymore.
Because of one December day 4 years ago.
My wife was upstairs and you get on the door.
On the other side, two anxious officers. His 24-year-old son, Noah, also a police officer, had been on patrol with a DUI holiday task force. He had just pulled over a suspected drunk driver when
another drunk driver struck him.
Noah was in a coma. He never regained consciousness and died of his injuries 7 days later.
Yeah, we were hoping and praying for a miracle. And that miracle never came.
A few months later, in 2016, the Maryland legislature passed Noah's Law.
And that's the interlock.
It requires interlock breathalyzers to be installed in the vehicles of those convicted of drunk driving. But not every state has that law. The organization Mothers Against Drunk Driving wants to change that.
Drunk driving is it's one of the biggest public health threats on our roads.
Their new report out this week takes a look at how states are doing when it comes to drunk driving laws. Among the most improved this year, Kentucky and New Jersey, for joining Maryland and more than 30 other states with laws requiring breathalyzer interlocks in vehicles after drunk driving convictions. But among those states with a ways to go, Michigan, which does not require those interlocks, and Montana, which doesn't have sobriety checkpoints. But even with states where the laws are stronger, there are still legal ways to get around them, as is the case with Noah's Law in Maryland.
Maryland, pretty much like every single state in our nation, allows for prosecutors to plea down their DUI cases.
A legal loophole Richard Liotta says he'll keep working to try and close.
And what better way to honor him and all the victims of drunk driving,
so that no other family endures the heartbreak that he and his family do in December and every day of the year. In Montgomery County, Maryland, I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
Here in Indiana, when it comes to action against drunk driving, we're actually doing pretty well. The state snapshot from MAD ranks Indiana at 14th in the nation in our efforts to combat drunk driving. MAD says a point of success for Indiana is our 2014 law requiring ignition interlocks for repeat offenders. To improve our ranking, MAD says Indiana needs to pass an all-offender ignition interlock law. Well, the only thing cuter than all these Baby Yoda memes floating around the internet are some fresh new human babies sporting Baby Yoda caps. Newborns at Franciscan Health Indianapolis were gifted these tiny Star Wars themed hats today. They were knitted by Erin Ollis from Crown Point, Indiana. Most of the materials she used were donated by her church, and other birthing centers throughout Indiana also received some caps. 20 newborns here in Indianapolis and another 10 in Mooresville get to go home with these cute little hats inspired by Baby Yoda from the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian.
Looks like we even got a couple of lightsabers in there, too.
So cute.
Whole package. All right, well, this evening we are enjoying the glow of the sun, and you probably needed those sunglasses because with the sunshine and that snow on the ground, makes it a little extra bright. That, though, is not a problem here across central Indiana. We've been battling these cold temperatures, though, and we will do that as we go through the overnight hours once again. Right now, our temperature 35 in downtown, feels like 27, feels like 24 in Muncie, and 29 the wind chill in Lafayette. Tonight, we're not going to go down into the single digits. I do think we'll see some teens out there around 20 degrees in the city, 21 in Lafayette, and that wind will be fairly light. So we may have a little bit of patchy freezing fog developing as we go through the overnight, and certainly that snow that melted today, that's going to refreeze. So watch for a couple of new slick spots out there, especially untreated areas. Temperature 20 degrees in the morning with some sunshine. We'll get back into the lower 30s for your lunch hour, 38 degrees into the afternoon, and tomorrow should feel a little bit better because that wind is only going to be around 5 miles per hour. Where you don't have snow on the ground or not as much of it, Bloomington, Columbus making it into the middle 40s tomorrow, just 37 in Muncie and 34 degrees in Noblesville. Saturday, the weekend looking pretty good here. We'll have some sunshine and temperatures actually going to make their way into the 40s for highs both Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday, middle to upper 40s, all with dry weather. Annie?
There's a new rule in effect that aims to make roads safer. Truck drivers now have to log their hours electronically with a piece of equipment in their rigs. They used to use a pen and paper to log their driving hours, but opponents of the old system say it allowed drivers to skirt the rules and stay on the road longer. More miles, of course, means a bigger paycheck for drivers, but it may also mean they're more exhausted. The goal of the new rule is to reduce the number of crashes by exhausted drivers. The number of hours drivers can work doesn't change, though, but drivers are still allowed to drive for 11 hours straight within a 14-hour period. That means there needs to be a 3-hour break within that time span, regardless of the rules staying the same. Not everyone is on board with the electronic system.
The agency has almost unabashedly stated that with the introduction of the electronic logging device rule, that carriers are finding it hard to comply now, which basically means they were cheating before and now they can't.
The new electronic system can detect whether an engine is running, if the truck is moving, the number of miles driven, and how long the truck has been turned on. The system was tested in 2014. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration noted that carriers with the electronic system saw an 11% reduction in crashes. The system has unofficially been in use since 2017. Watch out, HR departments. Casual flirting with colleagues at work could help relieve stress. That starts our Now News feed. New research from Washington State University says it can make the recipient feel good. Researchers, though, drew a clear distinction between casual flirting and sexual harassment. While a girl is suing after her father's hot coffee spilled on her while she was flying. A European court in Brussels says the lawsuit and any others like it can go forward. Judges say it doesn't matter what causes spills, even if planes experience turbulence. Holiday shopping procrastinators, you are not alone. This Saturday is expected to be the biggest shopping day of the year. Nearly 150 million people are expected to shop this Super Saturday. Well, finally in our lineup, Amazon doesn't let people sell CBD on its sites, but it's still showing up there anyway. What you need to watch for with these products.